The legend of the war dragon. High above the Black Ridge Mountains, a huge metal shape rested against the cliff face, half alive and half dying. Smoke curled from his iron wings. Sparks fell from the seams of his armor like fading stars. Every few minutes, a deep sound rose from his chest. Not a roar, not a growl, but something like a wounded storm trying to breathe. This was the war dragon, the strongest battle machine ever created by the ancient engineers of the galaxy. Some called him a weapon, some called him a guardian, but everyone agreed on one thing: no one could reach him. For weeks, warriors from many planets camped below the cliff. They came in heavy armor, carrying bright swords, laser spears, and climbing hooks made from alien metals. They tried every trick they knew. They tried force, stealth, and even prayers to their gods. But the dragon allowed no one near his broken body. Whenever a warrior climbed the rock wall, the dragon's eyes flashed with electric fire. A blast of heat exploded downward. Stones melted. Ropes snapped. Many brave fighters retreated in terror, swearing the dragon was still ready to kill, even in his weakened state. Rumors traveled faster than truth. Some soldiers whispered, "He is angry." Others said he is guarding something. And a few, with shaking voices, whispered the strangest idea of all: he is calling for someone. The commanders ignored all rumors. They cared only about the danger. If the war dragon truly died, the mountain core might explode. The shockwave could destroy cities and armies alike. They sent message after message asking for engineers, healers, and even robot whisperers. No one could help. No one dared. Then one quiet morning, a small group of soldiers noticed a thin human figure walking toward the mountain base. She wore no armor. She carried no weapon. She had simple boots, a small pack, and a calm expression that looked almost out of place in the war camp. Her name was Lyra. Most of the soldiers did not even notice her at first. She moved like wind slipping between tents, soft and silent. When she reached the main camp, a guard stopped her and asked why she had come. Her reply was simple: "I need to see him." The guard nearly laughed. Everyone wants to see him. Everyone fails. What makes you different? Lyra looked up at the cliff. The war dragon's glowing eyes stared back down at her, bright and sharp even through the smoke. For a moment, the girl and the dragon remained locked in a strange, silent exchange. The guard felt a chill crawl down his spine. Before he could say anything, the dragon made a low, thunder-like sound. Not a warning, but something slower, softer, almost like recognition. The camp fell silent. Hundreds of warriors turned to look. The dragon never reacted this way. Not to armies, not to leaders, and definitely not to a quiet human girl with no armor and no title. Lyra stepped closer to the cliff's base. The soldiers reached for their weapons, afraid the dragon would burn her alive. The air heated around them. The ground shook under their boots. A burst of energy flickered around the dragon's chest, the usual sign he was about to release fire. But then nothing happened. The dragon held his breath, held his fire, held his anger. He simply watched her. The commanders rushed forward, confused and worried. They asked Lyra who she was: a spy, a healer, a mechanic, a fool? Why did she want to approach the most dangerous machine in the world? Lyra answered softly: "He is hurt. Someone should help him." The commander almost shouted in disbelief. "Help him? He destroys everyone who climbs near him." Lyra shook her head, her voice still calm. "He destroys those he sees as threats. But he is not afraid of me." A ripple of unease passed through the soldiers. Some stepped back. Others stared at Lyra as if she were part of a prophecy. Even the wind seemed to pause, waiting for something. Then Lyra whispered a single word, a word that carried no meaning to anyone else. It was soft, quiet, almost lost in the mountain air. But the dragon heard it. His eyes widened. Energy lights inside his broken chest flickered like waking stars. The huge metal claws curled against the cliff. For the first time in many days, the dragon lifted his head. A deep, strange sound rolled through the sky. It was not a roar of anger, and it was not a roar of pain. It was the sound of recognition. The commander stumbled back. The soldiers froze. No one understood what had just happened, but everyone felt the same question rising inside them. How does this small human girl know the dragon's secret name? Lyra turned to the stunned warriors and said something even stranger. "I will climb to him." Shouts burst around her. "You will die. He will burn you. No one gets close." But Lyra simply looked up once more, her eyes steady, her voice firm in a way that surprised even herself. "If he wanted to kill me," she said, "he already would have." Then the dragon opened his great metal wings just a little, not enough to fly, but enough to shield her path from falling debris, enough to show he understood, enough to show permission. The camp fell silent again, and in that silence, a new legend began, not of warriors, not of armies, but of a quiet human girl and a wounded machine dragon who somehow knew her and trusted her. Lyra's hidden connection. The morning fog around the Black Ridge Mountains settled thick and low, covering the world in pale silver. Soldiers whispered among themselves as Lyra stood at the base of the cliff, staring up at the wounded war dragon. The fire inside him glowed like a dying sun. No one moved. No one dared to breathe too loudly. The dragon had bowed his head toward a human girl, something no one had ever seen, not even in old war records. But the question that burned in every mind was simple and terrifying. How did she know his secret name? Commander Herrick, a tall man with armor scratched from many battles, stepped forward. He studied Lyra with narrow, suspicious eyes. "Girl," he said, "who taught you that name?" "Only the ancient builders knew it. All of them are dead." Lyra didn't answer directly. She simply whispered, "Names are not always learned from people." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. What did that even mean? The war dragon shifted on the cliff, metal plates grinding against stone. The sound echoed like giant bones moving after centuries of stillness. Sparks flew from his wounded side, falling like burning snow. Lyra took a slow step forward. The soldiers gasped and reached out to stop her, but the dragon suddenly released a low hum, a warning, a protective warning. Its wings twitched. The rocks beneath it glowed with leftover heat. Everyone froze where they stood. Everyone except Lyra. Her voice was soft but steady. "He won't hurt me. He remembers." "Remembers what?" the commander demanded. "You? A girl who has never been in any record, in any battle, in any academy." Lyra finally turned to him. Her eyes were calm, but inside them lived a deep sadness. He remembers a time before war, a time before he was called a weapon. The soldiers stared at her as if she were speaking to ghosts. But the dragon responded. His eyes brightened with a warm, golden glow that pushed away the mountain mist. Not fire, not fury, something gentler, something almost human. The ground trembled beneath Lyra's feet. She steadied herself and placed one hand on the cliff. The commanders shouted at her again. "Stop! Come back. You don't know what you're doing." But she did know. At least, she believed she did. A memory flashed through her mind. A memory she hadn't spoken aloud to anyone. Years ago, when she was just a child working in a small repair hangar on a distant moon, she had discovered a broken mechanical creature hidden beneath a pile of scrap. It was small, only the size of a dog, but its design was old, ancient. Strange marks covered its metal like forgotten writing. Everyone else said it was junk. Lyra didn't listen. She spent months secretly repairing it, giving it power, rebuilding its wings, cleaning its shattered core. When it finally woke, it spoke only one word, a name, the same name she had whispered earlier to the war dragon. The small creature vanished soon after. Lyra never found it again, but she never forgot the feeling she had when it spoke. A strange warmth, a bond that felt alive. Now, standing before the giant war dragon, she felt that same warmth again, but bigger, stronger, deeper. The commander stepped forward again. "Lyra," he growled, "explain yourself." "Now." But before Lyra could speak, the dragon suddenly released a burst of static that crackled across the sky. His voice, broken, metallic, and trembling, echoed down the mountain. "Oh man." The soldiers fell back in shock. The dragon's voice had not been heard in decades. "Who man knows the name?" More sparks burst from his chest. Smoke rolled out from under his wings, as if the effort of speaking tore something inside him. Lyra stepped forward quickly. "Don't force yourself," she said. "You're hurt." The dragon lowered his head again, as if bowing to her concern. One soldier whispered, "He listens to her like she is his master." Another whispered, "Or his memory." Lyra looked up at the huge machine. She felt fear, yes, but not of him. Fear of what the truth might be. Because if this dragon was built by the same ancient makers as the small creature she once repaired, if he knew the same name, then maybe, somehow, she had been connected to him long before she ever reached this mountain. The commander lifted his arm. "We cannot allow this," he said sharply. "She is untrained. She is dangerous. If she climbs to him and he explodes." The war dragon roared. A powerful shockwave fired outward, shaking the entire valley. Rocks tumbled. Tents fell. Warriors were thrown to the ground. Only Lyra stood firm. Not because she was strong, but because the dragon shielded her with one enormous wing, forming a barrier of black metal that blocked the shockwave completely. Silence returned slowly, like a fearful animal creeping back into the world. The commander stared at the scene in disbelief. Why would he protect you? Lyra placed her hand on the dragon's wing, feeling the heat of his damaged circuits beneath her palm. "He knows me," she said softly, "and I think I know him too." Her heart pounded as she looked up at the cliff again. She didn't know if she could save him. She didn't know if the truth waiting inside his broken core would change her life or destroy it. But she knew one thing. This was not an accident. This was a connection written long before she was born. The dragon shifted again, lowering a metal claw like a stare, an invitation. Lyra took a deep breath. The climb was about to begin. The climb toward danger. The war dragon's metal claw remained lowered, forming a single step, wide as a road, hot as a living furnace. Smoke drifted from his wounded chest. Sparks jumped like tiny lightning bugs, warning of systems breaking one after another. Yet the dragon held still, waiting for her. Lyra stared at that metal step. Her legs felt heavy, her heart loud. The mountain wind carried the scent of burnt wires and fading fire, mixing with the strange metallic warmth the dragon gave off. Behind her, the soldiers were frozen, unsure whether they were witnessing bravery or madness. Commander Herrick shouted, "Girl, step away. If he moves the wrong way, you'll be crushed." But Lyra didn't step away. She stepped forward. Her boot touched the enormous metal claw. It vibrated beneath her like a heartbeat, slow, weak, but alive. The dragon made a deep humming sound, almost like relief. The mountain reacts. As Lyra climbed onto the dragon's arm, the entire rock wall trembled. Dust fell in soft clouds. The heat from the dragon's circuits pushed against the cold mountain air, creating waves of shimmering steam. The soldiers ducked, preparing for fire, but no fire came. Instead, the dragon shifted his body very slowly, carefully, as if protecting something fragile. His wings tucked in closer to the cliff, creating a narrow, hidden path along his side. A path made only for her. Lyra swallowed hard and began to climb. The first signs of connection. The metal beneath her palms felt almost warm. Too warm for a battle machine that had been dying for weeks. As she moved upward, small lights flickered in the seams of his armor. Blue, green, gold. The lights pulsed in rhythm with her movements, as if sensors inside were recognizing her touch. A memory flickered in Lyra's mind. The small mechanical creature she once repaired also glowed with this same soft rhythm when she came near. It responded to her hands, to her voice, to her presence. "Just like this," she whispered. "So it really is you just grown, just changed." The dragon growled weakly, not a threat, but a sound of agreement. Danger above. Lyra climbed higher, reaching the dragon's shoulder. From here, the world below looked distant and unreal. The soldiers tiny, the tents scattered like toys. But the danger was very real. A loud cracking noise echoed across the cliff. Part of the mountain wall split, weakened by the dragon's heat over the last few weeks. Huge stones broke free, tumbling straight toward Lyra. Commander Herrick screamed, "Jump! Jump away!" But Lyra didn't jump. Before she even reacted, the dragon moved faster than anyone thought he still could. His wing shot out like a shield. The falling boulders crashed against the armored plates, exploding into dust. The impact left dents in the metal and tore wires loose, but the wing held. Lyra pressed her hand against the wing, stunned. "You protected me again." The dragon answered with a low, tired rumble. But the damage he took to save her caused his systems to spark wildly. A line of burned circuitry lit up along his side, spreading toward his core like a trail of fire. Lyra's eyes widened. "You're burning from inside." She climbed faster. The wound revealed. At last, she reached the area near his chest, where glowing cracks split his armor open. Heat poured out like breath from a volcano. Broken wires hung loose, sparkling dangerously. Inside the cracks, Lyra could see the pulse of his main power core, dim, trembling, unstable. One wrong movement, one extra shock, he would explode. The wind carried the sharp scent of melting metal. Even standing a few steps away hurt her eyes. Still, she stepped closer. Below, soldiers watched with horror and fascination. Some prayed. Some bet how long she would survive. Some just stood there, unable to look away. Commander Herrick whispered, "Why isn't he burning her? Why isn't he throwing her off?" A soldier answered quietly, "Because she's the only one he wants near." The whisper of a name. Lyra reached out, her hand shaking. She touched the edge of the open wound. Heat bit in her skin like fire, but she didn't pull away. She whispered the same ancient name again. The dragon's entire body went still. The winds around the mountain paused. Even the sparks stopped falling for a brief moment. The name carried more than sound. It carried history, memory, recognition. The dragon lowered his massive head toward her, the one good eye glowing with something more than machine light. Something almost like emotion. Lyra felt her chest tighten. "You remember me, don't you? From before you became this, from before the war." The dragon's voice crackled through broken speakers, weak and jagged. "Little man." Lyra's breath caught. His voice was painful to hear, like metal grinding against metal. But the meaning behind it was crystal clear. He did remember. Not her face, not her name, but her kindness. The same kindness she once gave to a small and mechanical creature long ago. The past echoes forward. Lyra stepped deeper into the glow of his wound, ignoring the heat tearing at her skin. "If you remember me, then you know I won't abandon you," she said. The dragon's eye flickered, dimming dangerously. A warning. He was close to shutting down, close to dying, close to taking the entire mountain with him if his core collapsed. Lyra clenched her fists. "Hold on. I'm going to fix you." Just like before. But as she reached into her pack for her tools, a distant horn blasted through the valley. Enemy forces. They were coming, with weapons big enough to finish the dragon and anyone near him. Lyra looked out over the horizon, heart pounding. Time was running out, and the climb was only the beginning. He wound of fire and memory. The mountain wind howled around Lyra as she knelt over the war dragon's exposed wound. Heat blasted against her skin like the breath of a dying star, yet she didn't back away. Sparks snapped inches from her face. The dragon's inner circuits glowed dangerously bright, like veins filled with molten fire. He was dying, and she was the only one close enough to do anything. Below, soldiers scrambled as alarms blared through the valley. Enemy forces were marching toward the mountain. Heavy footsteps, war drums, artillery engines rumbling like thunder. But Lyra didn't look down. Her entire world was the trembling metal beneath her hands. A fragile machine, a fragile heart. The war dragon shifted weakly. His huge wings trembled against the cliff. His claws dug into stone, carving deep scars down the mountain face. Each movement sent burning shockwaves through his body. His eye flickered like a lantern fighting wind. He wasn't roaring. He wasn't threatening. He was trying to stay alive. Lyra pressed her hand gently against the cracked armor. She whispered, "I'm here. Just hold on." The dragon made a soft sound, so soft that the soldiers below couldn't believe it came from him. It wasn't rage. It wasn't pain. It was trust. Inside the wound, Lyra pulled tools from her pack. Simple human tools, nothing special. Just metal clamps, wire straps, and a small power patch. Tools made for repairing small machines, not giant war beasts. But she had no choice. She leaned into the glowing wound. The heat burned her neck and arms, but she kept going. The metal inside was cracked open like a broken rib cage, showing the dragon's core. An unstable sphere of energy pulsing violently, shaking with every second. One more pulse out of rhythm, and the entire mountain would explode. Lyra whispered a shaky breath. "You're in worse shape than I thought." The dragon weakly moved his head toward her voice. A broken whisper escaped his speakers. "Let's leave you, man." Lyra almost cried. The machine remembered her. Not her face, not her past, but her kindness. That tiny spark of memory had survived inside him, buried under layers of war code and weapon systems. She reached deeper into the wound and felt a sudden vibration run up her arm, like someone tapping her memories. A flash, a vision, a sound. The small mechanical creature she once repaired years ago. Its glowing eyes, its gentle voice, the way it had spoken that same ancient name. Her breath caught. Was that creature an early model of the dragon? A prototype? A child version? Before she could think more, a violent shockwave burst from the core, throwing sparks in her face. The dragon groaned, metal grinding against metal. "You're hurting," Lyra whispered. "I know. Just keep breathing or whatever you do." The dragon tries to speak. The dragon trembled again. His metal plates rose and fell like a chest trying to breathe. His voice sparked. "Ringham DR." Lyra froze. Her heart hammered. She leaned closer. "Remember what? Remember me? Or something else?" The dragon's voice cracked. "Return the light." "What light?" she asked urgently. "Where is it?" But he couldn't answer. His head fell forward, hitting the cliff so hard the ground shook. A crack raced across his wing, spilling more sparks. Lyra grabbed the nearest wire. "No, stay awake." The dragon's eye dimmed, like a star fading. She looked deeper into the wound. Something was missing, something important. A stabilizer coil. Without it, the core couldn't hold itself together. It would collapse, take the dragon with it, and destroy everything around. Her pulse quickened. "You're missing a main stabilizer. But where would it be?" And then she remembered. Years ago, the small mechanical creature she repaired had a glowing ring in its chest. A stabilizer coil. Removable. A tool? A key? A piece of a bigger machine? Her hand shook. Could it be the same design? The dragon shuddered again. More heat leaked out, burning the stones beneath him. He was running out of time. Below the mountain, the enemy moves in. War horns boomed in the distance. Enemy soldiers appeared on the horizon. Dark silhouettes carrying heavy cannons pointed directly at the dragon. Commander Herrick shouted orders. "Tighten shields. Prepare counterfire. Protect the girl if you can." But everyone knew they couldn't protect her at this height. She was too far up, too close to the dragon, too close to his unstable core. If the dragon exploded, the shockwave would erase the valley. If the enemy fired, the dragon would fall, taking Lyra with him. Lyra heard the horns below. She heard the shouting. She heard the rumble of approaching war engines. But she didn't stop. She reached deeper into the dragon's wound until her fingers touched a loose ignition coil, one spark away from failure. Her hand began to shake uncontrollably. She whispered, "Easy, easy." The dragon's weak voice returned. "Oh man, don't fall." She smiled despite the burning heat. "I won't. I fixed you once. I'll fix you again." A hidden message in the circuits. As she adjusted the broken wires, a small panel shifted beneath her hand. It wasn't a part of the wound. This panel was intentionally hidden. She pressed it. A soft click. A holographic projection flickered to life inside the wound. Tiny symbols dancing in the hot air. Ancient marks she had seen once before on the small mechanical creature. Her breath froze. The message was not for warriors, not for engineers, not for commanders. It was for her. A recorded voice, a warm, gentle voice, echoed from the hidden panel. "If you are seeing this, then the dragon has chosen you." Lyra's eyes widened. The dragon trembled, trying to lift his head. The message continued. He will remember your kindness, and you must remember his purpose. Lyra whispered, What purpose? The message answered. He was never a weapon. He was built to protect the one who can wake his true light. The projection faded. Lyra sat frozen, staring into the glowing wound. The dragon didn't choose her by accident. He chose her because she was part of his design, part of his forgotten past. And now she had to save him, even if the entire world was marching to stop her. The enemy's move. War drums echoed through the valley like thunder rolling toward doom. The enemy army appeared on the horizon in dark waves. Thousands of soldiers, armored giants, war mechs, and long-range cannons that could tear apart mountains. Their leader, General Korvac, raised his massive spear toward the cliff. His voice boomed through loudspeakers. Fire at the war dragon. Leave no scrap behind. The soldiers roared in answer, but the commanders of Lyra's camp froze in horror. If the dragon was destroyed while his core was unstable, the blast would consume both armies and everything within 100 miles. Commander Herrick shouted into his radio, Hold fire. Do not engage. The dragon is critical. Any hit could kill us all. But the enemy didn't care about survival. They cared about victory, and they were prepared to die for it. Above the battle, Lyra's race against time. High on the dragon's chest, Lyra pushed deeper into the glowing wound. The heat was unbearable now. Sweat ran down her forehead like fire. Her arms trembled. The hidden message still echoed in her mind. He was built to protect the one who can wake his true light. She didn't understand everything yet, but she understood this. If she failed, the dragon would die. If the dragon died, the whole valley would fall. If the valley fell, thousands would die. Lyra tightened a broken wire with shaking fingers. Come on, she whispered. Stay with me. The dragon's voice sputtered from deep within. Let the human danger. I know, she said sharply, but I'm not leaving you. The dragon tried to raise his wing again, but the movement sent a shock through his core. An explosion of sparks burst against Lyra, scorching her arm. She winced but didn't stop working. Below, enemy cannons locked onto their target. Laser sights lit up the dragon's massive body like red stars. Commander Herrick screamed, Lyra, get down. They're about to fire. But the girl didn't even look back. She was inside the heart of a dying god machine, and she had no time for fear. The first strike, General Korvac lowered his spear. Fire. The ground shook as the first cannonball roared upward. A burning sphere of crackling energy aimed straight at the dragon's chest. Lyra heard it coming. The sound was like a giant tearing the sky apart. She gasped, No, no. The dragon moved before she did. He jerked his body away from the cliff, forcing Lyra to cling to a metal ridge. His wings struggled to open, one of them barely functioning. He lifted the good wing, not to shield himself, to shield her. The cannonball hit the wing with a deafening explosion. Metal shattered. Pieces flew like sharp stars. The entire mountain shook. The dragon roared in agony, a roar so deep it shook the bones of every warrior below. Lyra screamed, Stop moving. You'll break your core. But he didn't care about himself. He only cared about her. The dragon's voice flickered through static. Hurt me not, who man? Lyra's chest tightened painfully. Why are you protecting me so much? Why risk your life for me? The dragon didn't answer with words. He answered by lowering his wings slightly, just enough for her to see the wreckage it took for her sake. Then he whispered one broken word. Cho-san. Lyra's breath stopped. The enemy advances. More cannons charged. Giant war machines stomped closer. Plasma rifles lit the sky with blue lightning. Commander Herrick yelled to his troops, Shield the mountain. Aim for their artillery. Cover the girl. But the enemy forces outnumbered them 5-1. Their dark banners filled the valley like a spreading nightmare. General Korvac shouted, The dragon is weak. Bring him down. The next wave of shots fired. Lyra braced herself, but the dragon didn't move. His wing was too damaged. He couldn't shield her again. She yelled at him, Don't take another hit. You'll die. But the dragon tried anyway, only to collapse against the cliff, his broken systems sparking uncontrollably. Lyra looked down the cliff. Cannons were adjusting. Soldiers were aiming. The next volley would kill both of them. Her fingers curled into trembling fists. "I'm not letting you die," she whispered. "Not again." Inside the dragon's core, she reached into the wound again, ignoring the fire searing her hands. She pulled out a melted wire, reconnected a spark coil, and locked a circuit manually. She had no training for this. No blueprint. No instructions. She worked by instinct, by memory, by the same strange connection that made the dragon trust her. A sudden pulse of light shot through the dragon's chest. His eye flickered. "Oh, man." "Yes," she whispered desperately. "I'm here. I'm fixing you." "You can bear the light." Lyra hesitated. "What light?" The dragon trembled. "Your heart, hold." Her heart. She had no idea what he meant, but she had no more time to question it. The next volley fired. A miracle in the sky. As the shots soared toward them, the dragon suddenly released a burst of energy from deep within his core. Not an explosion, but a pulse of golden light shaped like wings unfurling across the sky. The light hit the falling projectiles, and they disintegrated. Every soldier stared upward in disbelief. Even the dragon seemed surprised. Lyra gasped. "You did that." The dragon's voice shook. "No, we did." She realized the truth. That light came from the core, yes, but it woke only because she touched it, because she was the key the message spoke of, because the dragon's true power wasn't weapons, but connection. And together, they had triggered something ancient, something forgotten, something unstoppable. But the enemy does not stop. General Korvac slammed his spear into the ground. A trick. Fire everything. Dozens of cannons recharged. War machines aimed. The sky glowed with deadly energy. Lyra looked at the dragon. The dragon looked back, eyed dim but determined. He whispered, "Fix last piece." She reached deeper into the wound. Her fingers brushed something cold, something shaped like a missing ring, the spot where a stabilizer coil should be. Her heart froze. She had seen this before, on the small creature she repaired years ago, and she still kept that old, broken coil in her pack. Her hand shook, eyes wide. "Was this meant for you all along?" The dragon whispered weakly. "Chosen long before." She pulled out the old coil. It began to glow, and below them, the enemy unleashed the largest barrage yet. The awakening of the war dragon. The old stabilizer coil in Lyra's shaking hand glowed brighter and brighter, as if it had been waiting years, maybe its whole existence, for this moment. The glow pulsed in perfect rhythm with the dragon's failing core, as if calling to it, or answering it. Below, the enemy's largest barrage ripped toward the mountain. The sky boiled with red and blue fire. Commander Herrick screamed orders. Soldiers on both sides braced for death. But high above them all, Lyra knelt over the dragon's open chest, her breath sharp, her heart pounding like a living drum. "Please work," she whispered. "Please, please work." The dragon's eye flickered weakly, shadows dancing in it like dying stars. "Lit Tliu, man." Lyra pressed the coil against the slot inside his chest, and the world held its breath. The moment of connection. The coil snapped into place. A sound like a heartbeat, deep, ancient, metallic, echoed through the dragon's body. Tum, tum, tum. The spark stopped. The heat faded. Light began to spread through the dragon's circuits like sunrise pushing away the night. Lyra gasped as a surge of energy rushed up her arms, filling her with warmth. Not burning, not painful, but strange, familiar, like something old awakening inside her as well. The dragon's voice grew steadier. "Oh man, you found it." "Yes," she whispered, tears forming. "All this time it was yours." The coil, the small device she thought was junk, was actually the missing heart of the war dragon. A piece of him she had carried for years. A piece of herself. The first pulse. The dragon's body tightened, metal plates realigning. His wings slowly unfurled, stretching wide across the mountain. A golden pulse of energy shot upward, splitting clouds in half. The entire valley froze. Even General Korvac stopped shouting. The war dragon, the unstoppable machine of legends, was waking. Lyra clung to the dragon's shoulder as power surged beneath her. Easy, easy, but the dragon was not gentle anymore. The enemy fire reached them, and the world exploded. A shield of light. Instead of hitting, the barrage slammed into a spherical burst of golden energy that erupted from the dragon's core. Every projectile disintegrated. Every beam bent and vanished. Every explosion turned into harmless light. The valley lit up like a second sun was rising directly from the dragon's chest. Commander Herrick shielded his eyes. What is that? A shield? He never had a shield. But Lyra knew. It wasn't in any blueprint. It wasn't in any war record. It was the true light the message spoke of. The light only the chosen human could wake. The dragon whispered into the wind. You completed me. Lyra's chest tightened, her heart aching with emotion she couldn't explain. She didn't fully understand the bond between them, but she knew it was real. He wasn't just remembering her. He was trusting her. Rise of the dragon. The dragon pushed against the cliff, metal claws slicing deep into stone as he lifted his full weight for the first time in months. The cliff cracked. The mountain groaned, and the war dragon rose. Wings spread wide, glowing veins of golden energy running through them like rivers of fire. His tail smashed the ground, sending a shockwave across the valley. Lyra grabbed onto a metal ridge, barely hanging on. Warn me before you do that. The dragon actually let out a low hum, almost like a laugh. Above them, the sky turned bright gold as his wings ignited with ancient power. He stepped away from the cliff, and the entire valley trembled. The enemy retreats, then regroups. General Korvac stared in disbelief. Impossible. He was dying. A soldier beside him muttered, General, he's not dying now. He looks angry. Korvac snarled, regroup. Aim for the girl. She's the source. Hearing that, the dragon didn't wait. He moved, not slowly, not painfully, but with terrifying speed. His wings snapped downward, blasting a storm of wind so strong the first line of enemy soldiers fell like leaves. Lyra clung tighter. Hey, maybe warn me next time you do that too. The dragon's voice rumbled with strength now. Hold tight. The first flight. The dragon leapt into the air. The world dropped away beneath them. Lyra felt the wind tear past her, cold and sharp. The golden shield around the dragon glowed brighter, protecting them from enemy fire. The soldiers shouted in fear as the war dragon soared above them. Alive, reborn, unstoppable. Golden trails followed his wings, painting the sky. Lyra stared in awe. You're flying again. The dragon's voice vibrated through her bones. Because of you, her heart felt something she couldn't name. Gratitude? Pride? Destiny? Maybe all of them. The counterattack. General Korvac roared orders. War mechs lifted giant cannons, firing massive bolts of plasma. The dragon twisted in the air, dodging with agility no machine that large should have. Each bolt missed or bounced off his golden shield. Then, he attacked. A beam of pure golden energy burst from his core, striking the ground with precision so perfect it looked intentional, not wild. It hit a war mech and tore it apart like paper. Soldiers ran. Commanders panicked. The valley filled with dust and light. Commander Herrick watched from below, stunned. He's not just alive, he's evolved. Lyra leaned forward, shouting over the wind. You had this power all along. The dragon answered quietly. Sleep, hit it, until chosen human woke my heart. Lyra blinked. Your heart. But there was no time to ask, because General Korvac launched his final weapon. Korvac's last strike. A massive cannon unfolded from the enemy base, 3 times larger than anything else on the field. Its core burned purple, crackling with unstable energy. Korvac screamed, fire! The blast shot upward, cutting the sky in half. It was faster than anything the dragon had dodged so far. Lyra gasped. Move! Move! The dragon moved, but not fast enough. The blast hit his wing. Metal shattered. Golden energy scattered. The shockwave sent Lyra flying off his back. But the dragon's tail snapped around her, catching her midair, pulling her safely onto his shoulder again. She clung to him, trembling. "Don't you dare drop me." The dragon groaned with pain. "Oh man, safe." His wing was cracked. His shield flickered. Smoke curled from his torso. The enemy cannon charged again. Lyra looked at the dragon's wounded wing. She looked at the enemy's massive weapon. She looked at the glowing core inside his chest. And she realized he wasn't at full power yet. Something was still missing. Something he needed from her. She placed her hand over his core. The dragon's eye widened. His voice trembled. "Are you sure?" Lyra nodded, terrified but determined. "Do it." The dragon inhaled. If machines could breathe. The core began to glow brighter. The sky darkened. The air hummed like a giant string being plucked. And together, girl and dragon, they prepared to unleash something the world had never seen. The sky darkened, as if the world itself sensed what was coming. Clouds twisted in strange shapes above the battlefield, pulled by the rising energy of the war dragon's awakening core. Golden light poured from the cracks in his armor, brighter with every second. Lyra stood on his shoulder, one hand pressed firmly against the glowing core, the other gripping a metal ridge for balance. Her heart beat in perfect rhythm with the dragon's pulse-like energy. Below them, soldiers from both sides looked up, shielding their eyes from the blinding light. Commander Herrick whispered, "By the stars." "What are they becoming?" General Korvac didn't whisper. He roared, "Fire the cannon again. Now!" The giant enemy cannon charged, its purple glow swelling like a storm of poison. But something felt different. The dragon wasn't afraid anymore, and neither was Lyra. The true light awakens. Lyra felt a strange warmth fill her chest, flowing into her arms, into her fingertips, into the dragon's core. Like her heartbeat was being shared, like her life was being braided into his. The dragon spoke clearly now, voice deep and steady. "Little human, do not fear. We rise together." Lyra smiled through tears. "Then let's rise." And the dragon unleashed his true light. A shockwave of golden energy erupted outward. Not a shield this time. Not a pulse. A transformation. His armor reformed itself, glowing lines racing across the plates like living veins. His cracked wing rebuilt, metal weaving itself together as if time ran backward just for him. His tail sharpened. His claws brightened. His eyes blazed with twin suns. The valley trembled. Even mountains felt small. General Korvac stared in horror. This is not possible. He was supposed to die. Commander Herrick answered quietly, awe in his voice. He did until she woke him. The enemy's last weapon. The giant enemy cannon fired. A beam of purple energy ripped through the sky, brighter and deadlier than anything before. Lyra flinched, but the dragon did not. He spread his wings, shining like a golden storm, and lifted into the air. "Hold tight," he warned gently. Lyra gripped a ridge. "Don't worry, I learned from the last time." The beam struck, but instead of piercing the dragon, the light bent. It swirled around him, spiraled, then shattered harmlessly into sparks. Gasps rose from the soldiers below. General Korvac screamed, "Impossible! You cannot bend plasma." But the war dragon didn't answer him. He only rose higher, and higher, and higher, until the entire battlefield looked like a tiny map far beneath. Lyra whispered, "You're beautiful." The dragon rumbled, a soft, warm sound. "You gave me back my heart." The final counterattack. Below, the enemy reloaded, readying their ultimate and final shot. Lyra looked down and saw thousands of soldiers running for cover. She saw fear on both sides. "We have to stop them," she said. "If they fire again, they'll destroy everything, even themselves." The dragon's gaze followed hers. "Yes, we end this now." He folded his wings and dropped. They fell like a golden comet tearing through the sky. Wind screamed past Lyra's ears. The valley rushed upward. General Korvac shouted, "Fire!" The cannon launched its final blast. Lyra cried out, "Dragon!" But the dragon didn't dodge. He absorbed it. The beam hit his core and became light, pure golden light. Lyra felt the shock travel through her body, but not as pain, as power. She shouted now, "Do it!" The war dragon opened his wings wide and released everything. A colossal golden explosion swept across the battlefield. It wasn't destructive. It didn't kill. It didn't burn. Instead, the light passed through every soldier, every machine, every weapon, shutting down the enemy mechs, dissolving their cannons, freezing every engine. The valley became silent. The enemy armies stood stunned, weapons dead in their hands. The war machines fell to their knees. General Korvac's cannon cracked in half. The war dragon hovered above them, wings glowing like two burning galaxies. Lyra whispered, "You ended the war." The dragon lowered his head, voice gentle. "No, we ended it." The truth finally revealed. The dragon descended slowly onto a ridge overlooking both armies. Dust swirled around him as he landed. Lyra climbed down from his shoulder, her legs shaking from the rush of power. Commander Herrick rushed toward her. "Lyra, are you hurt? What did you do? How did?" But the dragon spoke first, his voice echoing across the valley. "Hear me." Every soldier, friend and enemy, fell silent. The dragon lowered his head until his glowing eye was level with Lyra. "She is the one chosen by my creators," he said. "Long before war, long before machines like me were twisted into weapons." Lyra's breath caught. "Your creators? You mean the ancient engineers?" "Yes," the dragon replied. "But not just them. They created you too." Lyra blinked. "Me? That's impossible. I'm just a human girl from a hangar." The dragon's voice softened. "You carry their light, a spark in your heart. You were born with it. That is why you repaired me before, when I was small. That is why the coil came to you. We were connected before we ever met." Lyra's eyes widened. Her knees almost buckled. "So I wasn't chosen now. I was chosen long ago." The dragon nodded. "Our bond is ancient, older than this war." The entire valley went silent with shock. Even the enemy soldiers were speechless. A new beginning. General Korvac tried one last shout. "This changes nothing. The war." The dragon turned his gaze toward him, and Korvac choked on his words. Not because of fear, but because the golden glow washed over him too. His weapon dissolved. His armor fell apart. He was left standing in silence, stunned and powerless. The dragon spoke. "There is no more war. Not today. Not ever. Not while I fly." Lyra stood beside him, her hand resting on his warm metal scales. Commander Herrick stepped forward, voice trembling. "What now, Lyra?" She looked up at the dragon. Her dragon. Her ancient companion. Her chosen bond. And she smiled softly. "Now we rebuild. With him by our side." The dragon lowered his wing, allowing her to climb onto his back once more. As she settled into her familiar place near his neck, he asked quietly, "Ready, little human?" She laughed. "Always." The dragon opened his wings wide, and the golden light of a new era rose behind them. Together, they soared into a sky finally free of war.